Hi, I'm back to tell you some more stories. Paraguay. We flew from Bolivia to Paraguay because we we normally don't fly from country to country. We usually just like take the bus but from country to country when we were in South America. But there was a lot of protests in Bolivia, so there was a lot of buses not running, and so it was just easier to book a flight. So we booked a flight from Santa Cruz to Paraguay, and I talk about our trip to Bolivia, which was really interesting between the snake in the boot and the jungle tour and the papas tour and the stuck cow and the caiman, which are like alligator, and the salt flats, and running away from the protesters. So, which I talked about in previous videos. But today I'm going to tell you about Paraguay, and we did this trip in South America in 2019, and it was so interesting how you went from one country to another, and it was like sometimes night and day. It was just so different. So when we arrived in Paraguay, the cab from the airport to the hotel was extremely expensive. It was very expensive, and so we get downtown, and downtown Asunción is the capital, and the hotel's old, but it's okay. I mean, I don't have to have brand new carpet. But it was clean. It was nice, and the breakfast was fabulous. But the downtown felt deserted and kind of rough looking, and we weren't sure when we got there. But the food was really cheap. I mean, I think we had Chinese food like $3, and we had stuffed, deep fried buns for like $3 for $1. It was very good. So the breakfast, unbelievable. We had cakes and pastries and cinnamon buns and muffins. I mean, we still had the eggs and bacon and ham and vegetables and fruit. There was one dish, it was in a cake pan, and I took a bite of it, and it tasted just like a pierogi. But what it was layered noodles with cottage cheese and onion and something else. I'm not sure, but it tastes just like a pierogi. And it actually tasted like the cheese and potato ones. So there must have been some potato in there anyway. But the breakfast, unbelievable. And I don't remember what we paid for the hotel. It was probably it was under $50 for sure, because we don't pay big dollars for hotels. And so the downtown area looked deserted and looked a little rough. And then we went to the mall, and the mall, the taxi driver dropped us off at the mall, and we got out of the car, and we went, hey, this doesn't look like a mall. And he goes, oh yeah, this is a mall. It had greenery and trees and vines coming down from it was beautiful. It was like the nicest entrance to a mall that I've ever seen. Now, those malls are, they're high end. There's some high end floors there, like some sections of that mall that are high end, and some are low end, but very nice mall. So we're at breakfast, and we're chatting up a storm with the guy sitting next to us at the table. And he says, so are you going to FIFA today? And we go, what? He goes, well, are you going to go to the FIFA beach soccer? And we said, well, I don't know. We hadn't really thought about it. He says, you can get free tickets if you go online. And he said, you probably got about another 3 or 4 more days of the beach soccer. And so we thought, well, what the heck? So we apply, and we don't get an answer. We don't get an answer. We go to the mall. We don't get an answer. We don't get an answer. Just before they opened up, and I think this was gosh, if I can remember correctly, I thought it was in the afternoon, late afternoon. And I finally get a text. Actually, that's not right. Now that I think about it, I think we just took a cab there anyway, and we're just going to go and pay. But I think when we got there, or halfway through there, I think that's when we got our, anyway, we did get a little, a text or an email saying, with free tickets. So we did go in with free tickets. But that one took a long time to get. So we get in there and we watch. And it's hot. And of course, we'd just been at the mall, so we were dressed. I dressed a little bit warmer for the mall. Floyd dresses the same all the time. But, so we were there watching the soccer. And it was really good. And then we came the next day. And I do believe we went 3 days. I think so. So anyway, the second time we were there, Floyd was wearing a Canada hat. And the announcer, this young guy, said, "Stand up if you're from England. Stand up if you're from France. Stand up if you're from Australia. Stand up if you're from Canada." And he's looking right at us because he saw Floyd's Canada hat. Meanwhile, I do believe they were filming it because he said that if you go to later on, we had a little chit chat with him. And he said that if you go on the website, our picture will be there because the guy came over to us and with his big camera and was filming us because he was wondering, what are you doing here? This is like Brazil and you're from Canada. And so we explained that we were doing a trip and stuff. And he says, "Well, you're the only Canadian here, but it's good to see you here." So then on the last game, it was a very busy game. It was Paraguay playing against, I don't remember. Brazil. No, I don't remember who they were playing. But it was very crowded in the evening because a lot of the locals wanted to watch their own team. So we did the FIFA beach soccer in Paraguay, 2019. Then we took a bus to Encarnacion, and spent a beach day at the lake. And then we took a rickety old bus to a Jesuit mission, a Jesuit colony that nobody was living there anymore. It was like a museum. And it was fabulous. It was really good. It was at the Trinidad de Panorama. So then we looked at these big black clouds coming. We said, we better get the hell out of here. So we did, and as soon as we got on the bus, the rain just came down, and it was just pouring. And I do believe that bus ride was for a couple hours anyway. So then we go back to the hotel, and then we are leaving Encarnacion, and we're heading to Ciudad del Este, and that is at the border. And on the way there, Paraguay was quite interesting. There's a little bit more mixture of European in Paraguay than there certainly was in Bolivia. There was no European. It was, but there was a little bit of a more European flavor, and lots of farmland. And you could look at the crops, and you can't figure out what they are. They weren't wheat, but it was hard to decipher sometimes to figure out what some of these crops were. But miles and miles and miles of farm. So we get on this bus, and we pick the front seat, and the bus driver's helper kept rolling the curtain back and blocking off my view, and I kept rolling the curtain back. And he'd come inside and roll the curtain back. He must have done that about 4 times, and in Spanish, he's telling me that the curtain has to be closed, and I'm saying, no, the curtain has to be open. So anyway, he closed the curtain, and I opened the door, and I stood between the driver and the helper, and I'm taking pictures because I want to take pictures. And the driver turned out to be very understanding, and he starts chatting up a storm as little as he can speak to me in Spanish about. I can understand a few of his words and stuff. So he says, "Do you like," in Spanish, he says, "Do you like strawberries?" And I say, "Oh yeah, I like strawberries." He says, "Have you ever had a strawberry chantilly?" And I went, "No." He says, "Do you want one?" I go, "Yeah." And he says, okay, we'll stop and get one. And I'm thinking, I don't know what this is all about. And I said, with the question, like, how much do I give you money to get Chantilly strawberry? And so I gave them money. And this like turned out to be a really nice thing after having this curtain fiasco. They both turned out really nice. So anyway, he's driving down the road, and the next thing I know, I mean, in Paraguay, it's right on the right, and it's the same as we are in Canada and the U.S. It's not like it is in England. So he's making a left, and he crosses the road, and he drives, and next thing you know, he pulls up in front of this window. Well, he pulls up in front of this, like a Dairy Queen, or like years ago they had the A&W windows and stuff. He pulls up, and the window was literally like the window and the bus were literally like, I'm sure, about 2 feet, not enough for her to, long enough for her arm and his arm, because he's ordering a strawberry chantilly, and she's passing it back to him. He doesn't even have to get out of the bus. And so he pays for it and passes this strawberry dessert to, so we're buying 4 because we're paying for it, because they're such a nice guy, and they're a third world country, so we pay for this strawberry chantilly. And it's a cup with a bunch of strawberries in it, and ice cream and whipped cream. That's all. That's all it was. So he hands them over, 2 to me, and they had 2, and the 4 of us are on the bus eating this strawberry chantilly. Meanwhile, everybody else inside the bus is watching us eat it, and not even, like, he didn't offer to them or say, hey, you guys want, I'm going to stop here, do you guys want one? He never, maybe he did, maybe I didn't hear him. So everybody else in the bus is watching these tourists from somewhere eating this dessert that the bus driver pulled over, bought, and handed to us. So then he pulls back on the road, he goes back to the right side, and off he goes. But that was really interesting. So that was probably the nicest bus driver we ever had. So then we end up in Ciudad del Este, and that's the border of Paraguay, Brazil, and Argentina. And they have the Iguazú Falls. Oh man, they're nice. They're like the largest waterfall system in the world. It's 1.7 miles wide, and there are 275 waterfalls there. 80% of the Iguazu Falls is in Argentina, and 20% in Brazil. And so one day we went to the Brazil side, and one day we did the Argentina side. And then the next day we went to Itaipu Dam, and that's the largest hydroelectric complex in the world. So we did a tour of that. And they also have a tax-free area for shopping as well. So we did a little bit of shopping, but I think Flo bought a phone there too. Yeah, I think he bought a phone in Paraguay because I zapped his phone. I wrecked his phone in Peru. That's another video. I wrecked it when I plugged it in. Yeah, it kind of blew up. So, well, not quite blew up, but died. So anyway, Paraguay was really interesting. We didn't spend much time there because we were kind of running out of time, and we wanted to do some of Brazil, and we didn't, and we wanted to be in Rio de Janeiro during Christmas and New Year's, and settle down in one spot, and we figured that Rio de Janeiro might be a good place to spend New Year's. So we didn't spend all that time in Paraguay, but it was surprising what a beautiful country it is. Beautiful country. So, and the breakfast. Cinnamon buns and muffins. The only other place in the world I've seen better breakfasts were in Brazil. They were huge. The breakfasts were unbelievable. So Then we took a bus to Brazil. And I will talk to you about Brazil on another video. So if you like what you hear and see, well, not necessarily see, but if you like what you hear, press like and subscribe. And you have yourself a great day.